Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our international free webinar. First, I want to thank you all who always join with us because you all are the gem in our webinar. Once again, I'm Mummy Salma, core volunteer, head of campus ambassador in IGP. In each webinar, we meet new participants, so a small concept about IGP is presented to them. Institution of Global Professionals serve students, learners, and community researchers providing holistic social work and education. So we held this webinar for knowledge seekers who are joined with us for learning. We expect that you all are getting a little bit benefited in personal and professional life, and we wish that you all are remaining with us in long journey. I am cordially welcoming you all. Enjoy and stay with us. Today we are presented the webinar 73 on gender and social capital building in education. Today, our topic is so important because for gender equalization and develop our world, we have to know about this. Today, our three guest speakers, Dr. Ghada Thompson, Abdullah Latif, Rania Lampo, and Muhammad Sharia Parvez. And we have already completed 72 webinars successfully. So let's start our program. Our first speaker is Dr. Thompson Abdullah Latif. Ma'am is completed PhD in English. Now she is an instructor in Benishif Technology University. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Gordon Thompson Abdullah Latif. Ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Hello. My voice is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Is it clear?
Your skin is not sure. Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. I'll speak today about girls' education. First, I have to introduce the topic. Every child has a right to a safe, formal, quality education and access to lifelong learning. For millions of children around the world, education is not a given or even an option. That's especially true if you are a girl. According to UNESCO, in 2018, there were 64 million out of school children of primary school age, about 6 to 11 years. 34 million of those children were girls. An estimated 130 million girls in total were out of both primary and secondary school. So, gender discrimination is one of the many barriers to education around the world. That is a situation we need to change. I have to state that every girl deserves a chance to learn. A girl is not a static or a piece of property. Is a child who deserves a future. Girls all over the world face discrimination just for being born a daughter and not a son. A girl's education is less likely to be valued and she's more likely to be forced into early marriage or face violence. Her childhood cut short, her very life and future at risk. A girl's education changes everything. An educated girl is more likely to grow up healthy, safe, and empowered to determine the course of her life and future. We have to educate all our girls all over the world. She will decide when she's ready for marriage and children. She will likely send her children to school and even live a longer life. I believe that girls' education can change the whole world. As of 2018, over 34 million girls of primary school age were out of school around the world. When you include secondary school, it is over 130 million girls. That is a big problem because education is one of the best tools we have to bring about equality and an end to extreme poverty. So I have to show you now Girls' education facts and figures. In many countries, more than half of girls drop out before reaching the sixth grade. In countries with low primary and secondary completion rates, the relative disadvantage of girls worsens with poverty. Harmful social norms can prevent change from happening in female education. Over 25% of people believe that a university education is more important for a boy. All facts via UNESCO. We have to ask ourselves a question. Why girls' education can change the world? We have four reasons. The first one, girls' education tends to delay marriage and lead to smaller families. According to UNFPA, one in every three girls in developing countries is married before the age of 18. Researchers from the World Bank and the International Center of Research on Women examined 15 countries. They found a strong relationship between education and child marriage. Each additional year of secondary education reduced the chances of a child marriage. The study also showed that educated women tend to have fewer children and have them later in life. This generally leads to better outcomes for both the mother and her kids, with safer pregnancies and healthier newborns. The second one, education can improve a girl's health and her children's health too. It also expands education opportunities, reinforces gender equality, and can reduce some of the causes of gender-based violence. Also, education can help students develop skills like critical thinking, decision making, and responsibility. Educated girls are also more likely to seek health care for themselves and their families. This is in part why the children of educated mothers are twice as likely to survive past the age of 5. The third one is girls' education means greater earning potential. Educated women are more likely to work and even own their own business. They generally earn higher incomes throughout their lives. According to UNESCO, a single year of primary education can increase a girl's wages later in life by up to 20%. An extra year of secondary school can increase their wages up to 25%. What is more, women invest up to 90% of their income back into their family, compared to the average 30 to 40% that men invest back into their households. The UN has found that increasing the share of household income controlled by women changes spending in ways that benefit children, of course. All of this can help break the cycle of poverty. When women have the education and the capacity to work, they can end a vicious cycle that prevents them from earning and saving the money they need to achieve a brighter future. Okay, we have one more reason. Girls' education makes the whole country wealthier. It's not just a girl or woman immediate family that benefit from her quality education. Studies have shown that when 10% more girls in a given country attend school, that country gross domestic product increased by the average of 3%, which can make a huge difference in a developing economy. Moreover, promoting girls' education can lead to women becoming more active participants in their communities, having a greater say in important decisions and finding suitable solutions to other causes of global poverty. Okay, now we can see concerns work in education. Gender-based violence and child marriage contribute in keeping girls out of the classroom. However, if women farmers had the same access to resources as their male counterparts, the number of hungry in the world could be reduced by up to 150 million. Sometimes the biggest impact comes from simple solution. Concern has worked to promote education in developing countries for over 40 years. In addition to building school and classroom, you also ensure that there are proper sanitation measures in place so that young girls can tend to their hygiene in a safe and hygienic space. In 2018, Concern work to promote education for all. It is a very famous initiative to reach almost 350,000 children directly and another 372,000 indirectly. Okay. Over 11 million girls may not go back to school after COVID-19 crisis. That is the number of girls who might not return to school this year due to COVID-19. This alarming number not only threatens decades of progress made towards gender equality, but also put girls around the world at risk of early pregnancy, early and forced marriage, and violence. For many girls, school is more than just a key to a better future. It is a lifeline. Let's see girls' education challenges. Educating a girl is one of the best investments her family, community, and the country can make. A good quality education can be life changing for girls, boys, young women, and young men. It helps them to develop their full potential and putting them on a path to success in their life. Educating a girl in particular can kickstart a worthy circle of development. Over the last 25 years, there have been large gains in girls' education, and we as global community can congratulate ourselves for the real progress that has been made. This demonstrates that with shared goals and collective action among governments, international organizations, civil society, media, and the private sector, we can change the educational prospects for children around the world. Okay, let's see the obstacles and how to overcome it. Globally, there are 130 million girls who are not currently enrolled in school. There are 7 obstacles that stand against girls' education. Among them are child marriage, poverty, and the period stigma are stopping girls from realizing their dreams. First obstacle is the cost. Poverty is the most important factor that determines whether or not a girl can access education, according to the World Bank. Even in areas where parents don't have to pay school fees, it can be difficult to keep up with the costs of transportation, textbooks, or uniforms. Parents also often rely on girls' income to support the household, and sending a girl to school means they spend less time helping in the home. If families can't afford the costs of school, they are most likely to send boys than girls. When parents have to make the decision between buying necessities like food over sanitary napkins, girls are forced to stop learning because they don't manage or can't manage their periods. Families will also allow their girls to enter child marriage if they can no longer afford to provide for them. Second one is a child marriage. It is the marriage of a girl under the age of 18. Happens all over the world but occurs unreasonably in developing countries. Parents let their daughters enter child marriage for various reasons. But child brides who miss out on education are also more likely to experience early pregnancies, starvation, domestic violence, and pregnancy complications. For families experiencing financial hardship, child marriage reduces their economic burdens, but it ends up being more difficult for girls to gain financial independence without education. Also, there are about 700 million women around the world who were married at girls in 2017. Also, in sub-Saharan Africa, 4 in 10 girls are married under the age of 18, and South Asia, where about 30% of girls under 18 are married. This is according to the UNICEF. Number three is menstruation. Once a month from the time a girl reaches teenage year, there is a chance she will miss school and work for a significant portion of her life because she have her period. Um, she can feel embarrassed and she never participate in the society in this specific days. In Nepal, for example, menstruating women are seen as impure by their community and banished to huts during their cycles. Some girls end up skipping class because they can't afford to buy sanitary products. Number four, household responsibilities. Forced domestic work creates low self-esteem in girls and a lack of interest in education. Adult responsibilities like taking care of sick parents or babysitting family member tend to fall on girls. Around the world, girls spend 40% more time performing unpaid responsibilities, including cooking, cleaning, and collecting water and firewood, than boys. Some of these responsibilities put girls in danger of encountering sexual violence. For number five, gender based violence. Gender based violence can take many forms, including physical and sexual abuse, and bullying, surviving rape, pressure, discrimination, and other types of abuse affect girls' enrollment, lowers their participation and achievements, and increase absence and failure rates. It's estimated that 246 million girls and boys are stressed and abused on their way to school every year, but girls are strangely targeted. Parents are less likely to let their daughters travel to school if they have to travel long unsafe distance. For number six, conflict and crisis. Girls and women in conflict and crisis affected areas encounter more obstacles to attend school. An estimated 39 million girls and teenage girls in countries affected by armed conflict or natural disasters lack access to quality education. Refugee girls and are half as likely to be in school as refugee boys. Around the world, there are 3 times as many attacks on girls' schools than boys' schools. When schools are trapped, children run, the risk of death or injury, organization is destroyed, and education system are weakened long time. Without education, girls lack the skills they need to cope with the crisis and help rebuild their communities. The last one, number seven, is trading. The number of girls reported as human trading victims is on the rise. Of all the trading victims reported globally, In 2016, 23% are girls, compared to 7% of whom are boys. Traffickers exploit girls for forced labor and marriage, but most are pushed into sexual abuse. Women and girls who are traded face high rates of physical and sexual violence, as well as mental and physical health issues. This form of abuse put girls on track to get stuck in a cycle of poverty and slavery that stops them from receiving an education. People living in areas affected by armed conflict in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia are particularly helpless to human trading, especially when they are separated from their families and end up traveling alone. In the Middle East, girls and young women living in refugee camps are commonly married off without their agreement and are sexually abused in neighboring countries. Thank you so much. I'm trying to stop sharing. Okay. Thank you. I hope you enjoy my session.
Mhm.
Hello, Salma. Hello, are you there? Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your
Thank
beautiful
you.
presentation.
I'm so happy to
And
participate with you today.
definitely, ma'am, definitely. And see you again and again for this opportunity, and we for the next opportunity also. So see you again, ma'am.
Inshallah, I hope.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dear audience, I would love to introduce our second speaker uh, by a short video. Actually, we did it previously, but this is the first time in live session. I would love to introduce our second speaker with a short clip.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. This is Professor Parvez, CEO, Independent Perception and Research Hub, Bangladesh, Country Director, Euromed Research Business Institution, and this is our international webinar on gender and social capital building in education. And today I will deliver a lecture based on social capital, motivation, a power in education. I believe that without motivation, a student cannot get the goal of achievement. So with motivation, it is the easiest path for a student to capture that goal easily and to become a leader in this world. So I hope that all of you will enjoy this lecture or presentation and stay with me. I hope that we will do or create a nice moment for you, a knowledge gathering or sharing part that is called Gender and Social Capital Building in Education. Under that part, my presentation topic is Social Capital, Motivation, a Power in Education. Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you.
Hello. Yes, sir. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I am hearing you clearly. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sir, we want to check your slide. Now
Yes,
it's your
please.
presentation time. Now it's your
Yes.
presentation time.
So can I share my slides now?
Definitely.
Okay. So my slides are okay.
It's visible. It's visible. Just click on hide button in the open tab. Just click on
Okay,
hide.
okay.
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
it's okay.
It's everything. Okay. Yeah. Now this stage is yours.
Okay, thank
Over to
you.
you, sir.
Uh, Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening. This is Andisharia Pervez, and today is a lecture and a presentation program, or that is called international webinar, arranged by Institution of Global Professionals. And I believe that this is one of our greatest opportunity for the participate participate in this kind of international webinar. So you can easily gain the knowledge from different professors, different experts all around the world. Now, today the main topic is the gender and the social capital building in education, and already the previous speaker said or already speak on girls' education. Now it is my turn, and my topic is social capital, motivation, powering education. And what do you understand by capital? At first, we must want to know what is capital. The point is here, capital is nothing that increases one's ability to gain the value or generate the value. It can be used to increase value across a wide range of categories such as financial, social, physical, intellectual, etc. Now the point is here, if we divided this capital, then this capital actually forms in eight categories, like intellectual capital, then so on, the social capital, the financial capital, the living capital, cultural capital. If we want to elaborate some part of this capital, then we find this kind of thing that under the intellectual capital, we have the ideas, we have the concept, we have the knowledge. Under the spiritual capital, we have the faith. In the social capital, we have the influence. And in a financial capital, we have money, currency, knowledge, and skill. material capital, we have raw materials, product structure. In the living capital, we have soil, the water, and also in the cultural capital, we have the story, the song, so on. Now, if we just more elaborate these 8 forms of capital, then we find out this thing that under the capital, the currency and complexity. In the social capital, the currency is connection. So far, we will discuss this later elaborately. Then in the material capital, the currency is material resources, and the complexing is tools, building infrastructure. In a financial capital, we have the money and financial instrument and securities. In a living capital, we have water, and in complexing, we have land, ecosystem, etc. Such as in a cultural capital, we have song, we have story, and it is called a community. Now, this is the 8 forms of capital and also the currency form. You can observe is easily that how can this kind of capital actually dividing each one from each other. And we are the human being, and we live under this kind of capital, and each of us actually use this kind of capital in our each and everyone daily lives. Now the point is here that we're just thinking that, oh, it's a huge capital is there. Then what's the matter? That how can I get the social capital? Oh, don't worry about it, because we will discuss it now. That when you are alone, like if you observe this picture, you can easily get that a chick just sleeping because he or she is alone. A man playing a frisbee alone because no one is here. So if you are alone, then sometime you are get bored and you have nothing to think about it. Then what can you do in your life? Now come to the point that when you are social, you see the kids all are together. They are playing with some toys, and no boring is here. Boringness is go away. In the meantime, when they are playing, you see the peoples are playing now the frisbee. They give one to another, so they are enjoying this kind of playing, this kind of game. Now come to the point that what is social capital? And the social capital is a connection, like all of us together by giving our hand to hand and create something new in a society. The social capital can be divided under the 3 forms like social network, trust, and share the norms and the values. And the social capital consists that social capital is the process of building trusting relationship, mutual understanding, and share the action that being together individual, communities, and institutions. And this is the process, cooperating action that generate the opportunities, resources by networking, by sharing the norms, and also the social agency. Now, these are some literature that some professor from Harvard University defined the social capital capital is a connection among the individual, the social network, and the norms of trustworthiness. The social capital is that a person either has or can develop by being able to bridge the structural holes in a social network. And the concept of the social capital became prominent in business literature in 1998. Now, the social capital actually defined from different things under his umbrella, like networking, produce collaborative attitude, shared norms, values, mutual understanding, trust. So these are the factors actually contributing a sustainable development in the social capital. Now these are the four pillars of social capital: that social exchange, social capital, norms, values, bounded solidarity, and enforce trust. So trust is another point is here that capture the social capital. Interact, socialization, sharing and caring, trust building, knowledge sharing and exchange. These are a circle or a loop of a social capital. And if you think that where is your place, you easily find out that your place under the social capital. So being a social people, you must under this loop. And so far, this is our trust building ability. Now, we come to more elaborate on social capital, like networking, bonding, and bridging. A social capital is a part of a social capital. Feeling trust and safety, reciprocity, participation, then citizen power, norms, value, and diversity, and sense of belonging, all together actually pressurize the social capital, because you are in a middle point under the social capital. So these are the things always push you. And if you think that yes, if you live in your life, you must doing some networking, you must trust someone, you must feel safety, then participation somewhere, you are a citizen, you have the norms from your society, from your family, you have the diversity because each of us actually different from each other, and you have the sense of human being. Now come to the point that how teachers can contribute in building and integrating social capital through their teaching and learning. This is the social capital windows, and under this window, we can easily observe that there are two bounds, that is support and control. Low form high and also control low form high. In the supporting part, you have the encouragement, love, growth. In the controlling part, you have setting, you have structure, you have boundary, you have discipline. Like if we think that our control and support is low, then doing nothing. If the support is low but the control is high, then than doing something like blaming. You are controlling. If the support is high and the control is low, then doing for reasoning, you have some excusing because you have no control at the time. But if the control and support is high, then you are doing some collaborative work, some responsible work, some accountable work. So it is a social capital window. And it is very much necessary for the student. Now, teachers' role in creating social capital. Teachers function as proactive agent who actually facilitate the social interaction and adding student access the resources. And these are the dynamic things a teacher can do for their student, which build a trust and reciprocity. Now we come to the point that teachers' role in creating social capital. So these are some literature review. So I hope that you can read it by finding from the net that different kind of professors actually give their opinion by research that teachers' role in creating a social capital. And the point is here that it consists of the willingness of rely. And if we rely, then we have built our trust. So teachers' role must be presented themselves from in front of a student that the student can rely on you so that you will do something new or creating a social capital. Like process in creating social capital, we have this kind of combination of exchange. Process depends on four factors like access, like perceive the value, like motivation for engaging, and also creating capability of the parties like teachers and the student. Now, what are the underlying principles in promoting and participating social capital? The three underlying principles of social capital are here. That what we believe, what we are going to practice, and what we are committed to promote. So these are the principle of social capital, that what we believe, what are we going to practice, and what are we committed to promote. Now point is here that how does social capital work? The term social capital emphasizes not just warm and cloudy feeling, but a wide variety of acquired specific benefit that follow from the trust, the information, also the cooperation. Social capital create value for the people who are connected at least sometimes. So if you are connected under the social capital network, then it must create some value inside you. Social capital have some example of norms and behavioral norms like be punctual, keeping cell phone silent mode inside the classroom, be ready to answer the question, then mutual respect, giving and receiving constructive feedback, and also sharing the ideas and thinking. So it is a both side thinking thing like a teacher must silence his phone in the classroom because your student following you, because you are the role model for your student. And a student must respect this thing because without your participation, a classroom actually empty. Now, how can we measure the social capital? This is the measurement of social capital dimension, the structural dimension, the relational dimension, and also the cognitive dimension. And under the network structure, you have the network diversity, the network size. And you have also the relational dimension, the social network building. You have the bonding the relationship, bridging the relationship, and linking the relationship. And you have the social interaction and also the cohesion together in a social cohesion. Now, the cognitive dimension, you have the norms and value that you share the emotion, connection, then collective goals, then affective bonds, and civic norms. So these are built up the trust, social network, and trust. And if we elaborate this dimension more deeply, then we can find out that the social network, trust, norms, and maintain the license to operate the social network. We have the definition, we have the measurement, and the benefits and value we can get from the social network, that it you have the job opportunity, you have the knowledge, then you share the information under the low transaction cost, and also you have the self-respect, self-sustain, higher social role definition. You have improved your health and reduce the crime higher, and also corporate social responsibility that is called CSR or corporate philanthropy. So this is a part also from a social capital. Now we come to the another part of these slides, that is higher education, because today our topic is social capital and motivation in education, or motivation or power in education. So in a higher education, what is it? We see that a higher education qualification can lead to increase the earning potential. So it is definitely right, because all of the students, when they finish their academic career, they want to earn something. So higher education actually give you a wide range of opportunities, a more rewards for your career. So no matter what your circumstance, it could be right choice for you. So those who want to become a higher educated student or people, they must need a social capital. Now, if we describe this higher education, we can categorize the higher education under 8 forms. Like educational qualification level, we have the entry level, then we have in the entry level you have the basic knowledge, then you come to the next point, that is called level 1. Under the level 1 you have some basic knowledge and ability to apply the learning and guidance or supervision. Now, from the next part, you have level 2. Level 2, basically the A level. So you have the good knowledge and understanding of subject, ability to verify of task with someone, and you have guidance or supervision sustainable for many job roles. Now, in the level 4, you have the specialized learning and also the knowledge of working in a specific area, sustainable for people working in technical and professional job and managing and developing of others. Now, come to the point that in the level 5, you have ability to increase in depth of your knowledge, and in the level 6, you are more ability, like it is a bachelor degree, that you understand and create something. And in the level 7, you are already in a master degree holder. You have high developed and complex level of knowledge to create something and suitable senior professional and manager. And under the level 8, you have the doctorate degree, and it is an opportunity to develop a new and create opportunity that extend or refine the existing knowledge or professional practice. Now come to the part that is called motivation. And motivation is an internal state or condition that serves to active or energize behavior, give it direction. In a motivation, you have the biological, emotional, and social and cognitive force that create your behavior. In everyday uses, the term motivation infrequently used describe why a person does something. It is the driving force behind human action. Under the motivation, you have some factors that you have intensity, you have intensive, you have expectation. And we have two types of motivation, basically. Different motivational types exist. Basically, these two types are very interesting. That is intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So in the extrinsic motivation, you have the reward such as money, social recognition. In the intrinsic, you are actually problem-solving ability inside you. Now, in the extrinsic motivation, you have some extrinsic power, some external motivation, some like influence outside of the individual. And also in the extrinsic motivator, you have reward to treat the punishment. Thus, extrinsically motivated learner may have to be in inner sights and may process information only superficial. And however, extrinsic motivation is equally necessary for classroom, because in a classroom it is needed for how can your student behave under this extrinsic motivation. Now in the intrinsic motivation, you have some forms of desire of learning, and it is an inherent interest, self-fulfillment, enjoyment, achievement, and you have also the intrinsic motivation in a classroom for learning material more likely process information in effectively and efficient ways, like meaningful learning, and mostly likely to achieve a high level of goal. Because if a teacher motivates intrinsically a student, that will be more benefited for the student. Now, the goal orientation. In a goal orientation, the performance goal. A performance goal is I want to get a grade in this subject. In a learning goal is I want to master in this subject. So this is also a motivational thing from each and everyone. It is different. From a performance goal, you need to get A in your subject. And from a learning goal, who are intrinsically motivated, you want to be a master in this subject. Now, use of motivation. There are different ways to use this motivation, and understanding motivation can help improve the efficiency of people as they work towards the goal, help people take action, encourage people to engage in health-oriented behavior, help people avoid unhealthy and risk-taking and addiction, help people feel more in control of their lives, improve overall a being and happiness. So, impact of motivation. This is the impact of motivation. Motivation can three major component like activation, persistence, and intensity. So you are motivated, you are active, you are persist, you are intensity under you from inside you. This is one of the major components of motivation. Now the impact of motivation, like in active, involve the decision to initiate a behavior such as enroll a psychological class. Persistence, like it is continuous effort to goal even these are obstacles. For example, persistence would be taking psychology course in order to learn or earn a degree. Although requires significant investment of time, energy, and resources. Intensity, like intensity, in a intensity, you have pursuing the goal. For example, a student might cause without much effort, while another student will study regularly participation in their class. Now, how to motivate your student? In a motivation, you have the goal, you have the vision, you have admire, you have support, you have teamwork, you have mentor, you have performance, and after all, you have achievement or success. The point is here, change takes time. Keep your eyes on the prize, not on the obstacle. Make it real. In order to intrinsic motivation, try to create learn activity based on the topic taught, and also learning should be practical, help student find personal meaning and value in the material. Strategies include using live modes, videos, and simulators. So make it real. As a teacher, it is your duty to make it real, like create activity-based learning system in your classroom. Without activity-based learning system, it is not possible for your student to capture this word because in the corporate world, they are actually now want who actually know something, who actually do something. It is not based on their grade or on their activity. It is based on their power, that how can he is capable and capacity has inside his or him to create something new or create something better. benefited for the organization. So provide the choices. You can provide the choice to the student. The student can increase motivation when they feel something sense or autonomy in their learning process. Also, you giving some assignment and also giving some material that they can easily pick from their lab or from the library. Then also encourage the student to build their personal best, because each and everyone has something inside themselves. So avoiding creating intense competition among the student, because it is not a point of competition, it is a point of learning. So in a classroom, teachers must give them a lesson that how can you compete against each other, but it is not a competition that create a competition against each other and you are thinking that he is my enemy. No, that is not a point. Point is here, compete each other, that how can you do this thing by yourself, by establishing your own knowledge. Effective teaching is one of the part of the motivation, because you must teach the student not avoid long lecture. You must avoid long lecture and direct instruction, because now the point is here that if the teacher always give the lecture, and a student just write it down, then it is not a good teaching behavior. So you show something. You give some short goals, you give some short assignment, you are doing some game in your study, then your student will be motivated. Now, adopt a supportive style, like follow the student autonomy and engage student interest, enjoyment, engagement, and performance, and be a supportive teacher and behave like you listening them, not hurting them. A student must respond to question you, and as a good teacher, you must respond their question. That is a good motivation part for a student. Then strategize with struggling student. Also, all of my students are not equally knowledgeable. So some of them easily understand something, some of them not easily understanding. So it is your duty, when students are struggling with poor academic performance, low self-efficiency or low motivation, so a good teacher must help them that how to learn, must give them some reviewing exam that how can you do something new in this study. Dealing with failure, teach your student to contract the tasks rather than, if they fear of failure. No, it is not a point of fear of failure. Failure is a result that lack of information. So if the student have enough information, then student can easily taking the thing, problem solving, and it is not the factor of failure at that time. They will gain something. So teachers must give the student resources, because resource is important part that teacher provided to the student, and only based on the textbook is not a part of a good motivation from the teacher. So he gives them some assignment from net, from day-to-day daily newspaper. Then your failure student will give more effort on their study. And you must know your student well, because without knowing your student easily, then how can you motivate your student? So it is a duty for a teacher to know the interest of the student, that what the student want to learn from you. Some of the student want to learn some cognitive thing from you. Like some of the student the student like to learn something, some of them doing something. So it is your duty to get the good feedback from your student and know your student better. And help a student find intrinsic motivation can be a great helpful for the student. Be motivated, your student, because each and every student has something inside them. So doing a personal reasoning for doing classwork and working hard, so giving them material. So it is your duty to learn that how your student intrinsically motivated, and make goal for high but not attainable. At least you must take a goal of high and also attainable, like you pushing your student to go to the moon and without rocket, then it is not possible for a student to go there. So not pushing your student by this kind of way. You must motivate your student that become an astronaut, and then you go to the rocket, and also you must create a rocket, and you must build a rocket and go to the moon. That is a make the goal high with attainable. And provide support for the success. You must provide the support for success in student. And now the point is here that motivation power plus education is equal to power of education. And power motivation, like a power motivation, is a theory that some people are motivated by desire for themselves. So there be a business executive, a teacher, a journalist. So you must motivate yourself and provide this motivation to your peoples, to your students. And under the power motivation, you have the high confidence, you have deserved satisfaction, you have the maturity, and you have a strong sense of responsibility. So it is necessary. So being a responsible teacher in a class. So what is motivation? Like it is the inner power that push you towards taking action and towards achievement. And motivation actually activities, maintenance, and guidelines. So you start gets going on, keeps going on, and determining where you are trying to go. That is called the motivation. And if you want it, then fight for it. And never say that I can't, I cannot do this. Because just cut the knot from your cannot, then you will be able to do anything from inside you. Whatever you want to do in your study career, in your academic career, you can do, but with trust, with honesty, with rules, with discipline, with motivation. Without motivation, I think a student will not get his or her achievement or his or her goal. So thank you for your attention, and I want to finish my lecture now. And thank you for being with me for this presentation or for this
Thank
lecture.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving your brief discussion on social capital and valuable insight on higher education and educational levels because it is especially important for students. Make it real. You said that make it real. This is really a magical word, and it because it motivates us to achieve the goal. I learned a lot from you, and I think audience also learned from you. Thank you, sir, for your marvelous presentation.
Thank you.
Uh, we have to move our next speaker, Ramya Lampo. we will play a little video about her.
Hello, I'm Rania Lambu from Greece. I'm a STEM instructor and neuroeducation researcher. I would like to invite you to a special webinar concerning STEM education with emphasis on equality of sexes as far as science education is concerned. Women all over the world are underrepresented in science, and in some cultures, women and girls are not considered to be as capable to deal with scientific issues as boys and men. We're going to prove that there's a real equality between the sexes, and our goal is to provide solutions in order to enhance women's position in science and STEM education. Don't miss it. Bye.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. We can hear you. We can hear you. You are in mute. Unmute yourself.
Yes, yes.
Yes, now you are in mute. And
So,
ma'am, could you please share your slide, please.
um, okay, not yet.
No, still not yet.
Okay. So I want you to say greetings to all of you from Greece and Athens. I'm very honored to participate today in this so enriching and resourceful webinar. My name is Rania Lambu. I'm a STEM instructor, global educator, and currently I'm working at the Greek Ministry of Education at the Directorate of Educational Technology and Innovation. And I'm also working at the Greek Astronomy Space Company as a STEM instructor. I have been awarded many international awards, so far 55. And I was selected among the best teachers in the world with the Global Teacher Prize. I'm also a Global Teacher Award winner. And I'm also president for Greece of Ladies of All Nations International. Today, we're going to explore the crucial role of women in science, and in particular, STEM, the role of girls in STEM education, since I strongly believe that STEM is the future of education. In the second part, I'm going to show you some of my multi-award winning projects about STEM. So may I share my presentation?
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, make it full screen.
Yes. Is it visible now?
Yeah. Yeah. Now click on hide button.
Now you can see the next slide.
Yeah, I can see next slide.
Okay.
Click on hide. Click on option hide, which I already told you. Yeah. In the same tab. Yes. Yeah. Now this stage is yours.
Okay. So science and gender equality are both vital for the achievement of internationally agreed development goals, including the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Over the past 15 years, the global community has made a lot of efforts in inspiring and engaging women and girls in science. Yet, women and girls continue to be excluded from participating fully in science. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in September 2015, calls for a new vision to address the environmental, social, and economic concerns facing the world today. The agenda includes 17 Sustainable Development Goals, including the goal 7 about quality education and the goal 5 about gender equality. So in order to achieve full and equal access to a participation in science for women and girls, and further achieve gender equality in the empowerment of women and girls, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution declaring 11 February as the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Furthermore, the COVID pandemic also had a significant negative impact on women scientists, particularly affecting those at the early stages of their careers, and thus contributing to widening the existing gender gap in science and revealing the gender disparities in the scientific system, which need to be addressed by new policies, initiatives, and mechanisms to support women and girls in science. So despite significant improvements in recent decades, education is not only universally available and gender inequalities persist. A major concern in many countries is not only limited numbers of girls going to school, but also limited educational pathways for those that step into the classroom. This includes, more specifically, how to address the lower participation and learning achievement of girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And STEM underpins the 2030 agenda, as we said before. STEM education can provide learners with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors required for inclusive and sustainable societies. Leaving out girls and women in STEM education careers is a loss for all. STEM actually is the new trend in education. So historically, the role of women in the field of science has been in the background. With exceptions, the work of women scientists has been overlooked, ignored, or attributed to their male colleagues. Researchers can only speculate about the relative roles of men and women thousands of years ago as they made shelters and clothing, tamed fire, and domesticated animals and plants. Prior to the great civilizations of early Greece and Rome, women are known to have practiced medicine in ancient Egypt. In ancient Greece, there was a strong women involvement in philosophy and mathematics. And by the time that the Roman Empire reached its dying days, Hypatia of Alexandria had emerged as a symbol of learning and science. She was a mathematician who rose to be head of Euclides' Neoplatonist school of philosophy. So women fared little better in the Middle Ages, being excluded from the universities that began to be founded in Europe from the late of the 11th century onward. During this period, convents provided havens where women could become considerable scholars. And in the 12th century, the Abbess Hildegard wrote books on the natural world and on the causes and cures of illness. Many other women worldwide were also practicing medicine and herbalism in their homes and communities at this time. So higher studying the early modern period was available only to those from particularly enlightened and wealthy families. And also in the 18th century, the Enlightenment or Age of Reason brought new opportunities for some women. In the 19th and 20th centuries, in both the United States and the United Kingdom, the founding of women colleges provided for the first time a clear career path for women scientists. And although some women were able to practice as individual scientists, many benefited from what has been described as the harem effect, in which male scientists employed groups of women assistants. So we all know the celebrated partnership between Marie Curie and her husband, Pierre Curie, that led them to share the Nobel Prize for Physics. It was only the third year the prizes were awarded. And her discovery of new radioactive elements, including polonium and radium, won her the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1911. Curie was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize and the first person to win the award in two different fields. During World War, women undertook many roles that were previously exclusively male, including roles as scientific researchers. In the post years, the argument that women were mentally, physically, or emotionally unfit for scientific work, a notion that had persisted since ancient times, was no longer tenable. That notion that middle-class women should not continue to work once married, which had, yes?
Hello, ma'am. Sorry for disturbing
you.
Ma'am, you are going too fast.
Okay,
you are going too fast. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So the notion that middle-class women should not continue to work once they were married, which had removed many qualified women from the scientific workforce, also began to lose credibility. So in the early of 21st century, in the United Kingdom and the United States, nearly 50% of medical degrees and doctorate degrees in the biomedical sciences were awarded to women. Undergraduate numbers in mathematics and in the physical sciences were approaching similar levels, and only in computing and engineering were women students still significantly underrepresented. So this massive statistical shift took place in the context of a general increase in the number of women entering higher education, a product of the widespread movement toward gender equality and of campaigns to encourage girls and women to pursue their interests. So more girls are in school today than ever before, but they do not always have the same opportunities as boys to complete and benefit from an education of their choice. Too many girls and women are held back by biases, social norms, and expectations influencing the quality of the education they receive and the subjects they study. They are particularly underrepresented in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and consequently in STEM careers. Girls and women are systematically tracked away from science and math throughout their educations, limiting their training and options to go into these fields as adults. At present, according to UNESCO, less than 30% of researchers worldwide are women. Only around 30% of all female students select STEM-related fields in higher education, and globally, female students' enrollment is particularly low in ICT, 3%, natural science, mathematics, and statistics, 5%, and in engineering, manufacturing, construction, 8%. Numerous studies have found that women in STEM fields publish less, are paid less for their research, and do not progress as far as men in their careers. However, there is very little data at the international or even country level showing the extent of these disparities. This gender disparity is alarming, especially as STEM careers are often referred to as jobs of the future, driving innovation, social well-being, inclusive growth, and sustainable development. UNESCO is giving special attention to this issue as part of its effort to promote the empowerment of women and girls to education, and as a response to its member states' decision on UNESCO's role in encouraging girls and women to be leaders in STEM, including arts and design. Girls appear to lose interest in STEM subjects with age, particularly between early and late adolescence. This low interest affects, of course, participation in advanced studies at secondary level. And gender gaps in STEM education participation become more obvious in higher education. Female students represent only 35% of all students enrolled in STEM-related fields of study at this level globally. Differences are also observed by disciplines, with female enrollment lowest in engineering, manufacturing, construction, natural science, mathematics, and ICT fields. According to American Association of University Women, here we can see that women make up only 28% of the workforce in science, in STEM, and men vastly outnumber women majoring in most STEM fields in college. The gender gaps are particularly high in some of the fastest growing and highest paid jobs of the future, like computer science and engineering. While access to education for girls and young women has globally improved, important disparities persist both among and within regions and countries in USA. Significant progress has been made with respect to girls' participation in education in recent decades. Trends show a small but consistent increase in female students' enrollment rates at all levels of education since 2000. Globally, in 2014, gender parity was achieved in primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary education, and significant progress has been made in higher education, where the enrollment of female students almost doubled between 2000 and 2014, with young women constituting the majority of students at bachelor master degree levels globally. However, the percentage of female students who continue with doctoral degrees drops by more than 7% compared to those enrolled at master's level. So despite the positive global trends, there are significant disparities across regions and countries and among specific groups within countries. The global achievement gender parity in access to primary education, for example, masks important disparities in many regions and countries. In secondary education, gender disparities are more diverse with considerable regional differences. For example, more boys than girls complete lower and upper secondary education in South and West Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, and the Arab states, while the opposite is true in Latin America and the Caribbean. And despite gains in access, socioeconomic, cultural, and other obstacles still prevent female learners from completing or benefiting fully from full quality education. And all these barriers include household care responsibilities, early marriages, pregnancies, cultural norms. Here we can see that biology, for the exception of biological sciences, male outnumber female in STEM sectors. What is the myth of math brain? This myth is one of the most dominant idea in American education, but research shows no innate cognitive biological differences between men and women in maths. Many girls lose confidence in math by third grade. Boys, on the other hand, are more likely to say that they're strong in math by second grade before any performance differences are evident. And a gender math gap exists in elementary school, but it is really only evident among boys from higher income and predominantly white areas performing significantly higher in math, even compared to girls attending those same schools. Girls score higher than boys in math in lower income, predominantly black areas, but their scores are still low compared to scores for white boys in high income areas. So by this time students reach college, women are significantly underrepresented in STEM majors. For instance, only around 21% of engineering majors are women, and only around 19% of computer information science majors are women. Nearly 80% of the healthcare workforce are women, but only 21% of health executives and board members are women, and only about a third of doctors. And women are more highly represented in lower paying fields, such as home health workers, nurses, and the lower paying specialties, such as pediatrician. And men in STEM annual salaries are higher, of course, per year than women. So the number of women in science engineering is growing, yet men continue to outnumber women, especially at the upper levels of these professions. In elementary, middle, and high school, girls and boys take math and science courses in roughly equal numbers, but as many girls and boys leave high school prepared to pursue science and engineering majors in college, few women pursue these majors. And among first-year college students, women are much less likely than men to say that they intend to major in STEM. By graduation, men outnumber women in nearly every science and engineering field, and in some subjects such as physics and science, the difference is dramatic, with women earning only 20% of bachelor's degrees. So women's representation in science declines further at the graduate level, and yet again in the transition to workplace. What about European Union? In 2019, there were more than 6 million female scientists and engineers in the European Union, accounting for 41% of total employment in science engineering. By sector, women were underrepresented in manufacturing, while there was more of a gender balance in the services sector. And among European member states, the proportion of female scientists and engineers varied widely in 2019, ranging from 55% in Lithuania and to 28% in Luxembourg. Now, what are the key factors? What are the reasons that perpetuate gender STEM gaps? First of all, gender stereotypes. STEM fields are often viewed as masculine, and teachers and parents often underestimate girls' math abilities that start as early as preschool. We have also male-dominated cultures because fewer women study and work in STEM. These fields tend to perpetuate male-dominated cultures that are not supportive or attractive to women and minorities. Girls also have fewer role models to inspire their interest in these fields, seeing limited examples of female scientists and engineers in books, media, and popular culture. There are even fewer role models of Black women in math and science. Math anxiety. Teachers who are predominantly women often have math anxiety. They pass it on to girls, and they often grade girls harder for the same work and assume girls need to work harder to achieve the same level as boys. So according to a report of UNESCO, which is called Cracking the Code, Girls and Women's Education, studies suggest that girls' disadvantage in STEM is the result of the interaction of a range of factors embedded in both socialization and learning processes. This includes social, cultural, gender norms, which influence the way girls and boys are brought up, learn, and interact with parents, family, friends, teachers, and which shape their identity, their beliefs, the behavior, and choices. Self-selection bias, when girls and women choose not to pursue STEM studies or careers, appears to play a key role. So this choice is actually the outcome of a socialization process and stereotypes that are both explicitly and implicitly passed on to girls from a young age. Why? Because girls, as we said before, are often brought up to believe that STEM are masculine topics. And in several studies, when children were asked to draw a mathematician or a scientist, girls were twice as likely to draw men as they were to draw women, while boys almost universally drew men, often in a lab coat. Evidence shows also that girls' self-efficacy and attitudes related to STEM are strongly influenced by the immediate family environment, especially parents, but also the wider social context. Parents with higher socioeconomic status and higher educational qualifications tend to have more positive attitudes towards STEM education for girls than parents with lower socioeconomic status and education, of immigrant status and ethnic minority background, or single parents. Also, we have the media representations of women, and the status of gender equality in society also has an important influence, as it influences the expectation and status of women, including in STEM careers. So what are the recommendations? First of all, education, school plays a central role in defining girls' interest in STEM subject and in providing equal opportunities to access and benefit from quality STEM education. So everything, materials, learning contents, assessment methods and tools, as well as the socialization process in school, all are critical to ensure girls' interest engagement with STEM studies. So empowering girls and women to enter STEM fields and stay the course is an imperative. Teaching quality and specialization STEM also are essential for good quality STEM education. Another factor important is the sex of STEM teachers, which appears to make a difference because female STEM teachers have a positive influence on girls' performance and engagement with further STEM studies and careers. And girls also appear to perform better when teaching strategies take into consideration consideration their learning needs, and when teachers have high expectations of them in STEM subjects, treat them equally. Also, learning contents and materials impact on girls' performance in school curricula that are gender balanced, take account of girls' interests. For example, linking abstract concepts with real-life situations can help also increase girls' interest in STEM. Evidence also suggests that hands-on activities, for example, in laboratories, can enhance girls' interest. Assessment contents, tools, processes can affect girls' learning outcomes in STEM. Supportive learning environments can increase girls' confidence and self-efficacy. Exposure to real-world learning opportunities, such as through extracurricular activities, field trips, camps, and apprenticeships. We see many initiatives all around the world about girl encoding. So we need to get more girls and women into STEM education career, which requires holistic and integrated responses that reach all sectors. So what the role of universities here? Universities have an important role to play in encouraging female students to enroll in STEM subjects and continue STEM subjects. A simple step that universities can take is to promote the number of female STEM students at the university and communicate the range of benefits available to them. These messages should be sent to both prospective female students and existing female students. And also, universities can include information on the global social impact of STEM in these messages and communications. And apart from this, universities can also take a strategic and long-term planning approach to STEM and gender equality, conduct a gender audit with focus groups, surveys, and student attendance and participation data to determine how female STEM students are feeling about the university, its teaching, and any patterns of exclusion. So we need to spread the word about girls and women achievements. We need to teach girls intellectual skills, including special skills. Teacher girls, that every time they work hard, they learn something new, their brains form new connections, and over time they become smarter. Teach girls that passion, dedication, and self-improvement, not simply innate talent and the road to achievement and contribution. We should teach students about stereotype threat and promote a growth mindset environment. Teaching students about stereotype threat can result in a better performance. Encourage students to develop the special skills, as I said before, how they could play with construction toys, take things apart and put them back together again, play games that involve fitting objects into different places, draw and work with their hands. So special skills developed in elementary and middle school can promote student interest in mathematics, physics, and other areas. We need also to encourage high school girls to take physics, chemistry, computer science classes when available. Why? Because girls who take calculus in high school are 3 times more likely than girls who do not major in scientific or engineer field in college. So we need to attract and retain more female students. We need to actively recruit women into STEM factors. Qualified women are less likely to have considered science and engineering majors than are their male peers. We need to emphasize real-life applications in early STEM courses. We need to integrate also STEM education, primary education, and even preschool education, and teach professionals about stereotype threat and benefits of what we said about mindset. So some bias about you. How when we talk to a girl, for example, as a teacher, you can tell him or tell her that he should learn about his own implicit bias. Keep your biases in mind. Take steps to correct for your biases. Raise awareness about bias against women's STEM fields. Create clear criteria for success and transparencies. So my commitment to early career women scientists is to believe in yourself and believe that what you do matters for science and for society. Strive to create the networks and find the peer support and mentoring that you need. Be open and outspoken about the challenges that you face to help others find better ways to support you. And you also need to be realistic because not everyone will be able to see things from a new perspective or change their ways. This is your life, and you have to decide what things are worth fighting for and what others are not worthy the time or energy. So you should not let any of the gender stereotypes which are thrown at you and affect you. Um, my advice is to stand up for yourself and bring biases and misconceptions into the open in order to debunk them, even if these feel uncomfortable. Um, Here I want to say that with my teachers, I'm fighting for the equality between women and men in the field of natural sciences. So I wanted to sensitize my students about this, and we created a radio show about women physicists from Marie Curie times to present day, the European School Radio. This radio show was actually became an educational video that you can find free on YouTube on my channel. And this is based on a STEAM project where my student depicted the portraits of 30 eminent women in science. So it's actually a STEAM project. And this video was aired on the National Women's Day on the National Greek television and was awarded in the European competition diversity in STEM organized by STEM Alliance. And I'm also very excited to announce that very recently I launched a new international project. I forgot to say that I am the founder of 5 international humanitarian projects all around the world that implementing mostly in Africa and Asia and are based on the Sustainable Development Goals. And my new project is called Gender-Based Violence, Why Peace is a Much Better Option. I wrote this project in collaboration with Center for Peace Advocacy and Sustainable Development, and it's a STEAM interdisciplinary educational project that aims at raising gender-based violence awareness among 11 to 13-year-old children in Africa. This project includes awareness activities like role-playing, storytelling, creative activities such as art and crafts. Obviously, the final outcome of this project will be the strengthening of the idea of peace among members of societies that experience conflict, especially gender-related conflict. And this school-based intervention can promote gender equality and prevent violence against women by challenging stereotypes that give men power over women. This project focuses on 5 out of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, such as good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, reduced inequalities, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any question, I am at your disposal.
Thanks, ma'am. That's amazing. You presented the historical data about the women's contribution in past. I think women work equally with men in past and working now also. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, sir, ma'am. You can see the question on your screen right now.
Yes. Is this a question for me?
So, do the next no, especially I just put the question on your screen. Just fill the question who start from the speaker. Then they'll if the, is it possible for or is it possible for you? Then you can reply or you can answer the question on your side.
So can I reply now to this question?
Definitely.
Yes. So as I said before, I think that education is the best way to address all the issues on gender equality. Of course, the family environment is very important. The broader sociocultural context is also very important, and government plays a crucial role. So it's definitely the responsibility of all stakeholders, teachers, parents, and broader context. But I strongly believe as a teacher and an educator, I can see that in education, we can do miracles, we can work wonders with our children as long as we have the passion and the energy to promote innovations. As I said before, I launched recently this project. I was inspired actually by gender-based violence in Nigeria, and this project will be implemented in Nigeria and in many African countries where gender-based violence has many higher rates. And I have tried in this project to integrate some art activities and STEM activities in order to engage students and promote the message of peace in more challenging activities and more challenging ways. Because only lectures and only traditional teaching is not enough in these countries to convince the students easily. So we need the teachers to be innovative. We need we need to promote, as I said before, innovation and help students to develop peace building skills. This is what I believe. This is the second question. Yes. What are some steps to relieve math anxiety? So as I said before, this is actually a myth. And according to research, there is no, women are have equal the same abilities as men in maths. So it's again the responsibility of teachers to make students more comfortable to choose and select the appropriate activities for children, encourage them. Maybe they could do some sessions. I'm doing many volunteering sessions after my school, the school time. And here I want to say something else. Another myth that I forgot to mention in my presentation is that according to neuroscience, because I'm also a neuroeducation researcher, the brain of women is considered to be pro-social, more social than men. So there is a stereotype, a myth, that since women are more social, they will fail in STEM careers. Why? Because there is again another stereotype that the scientist is someone who is closed in his laboratory and he's isolated and he doesn't have a social life or a personal life. So all these are stereotypes, of course, and all the research has shown that all these are not true. So again, the role of education is crucial. Yes. How do you think we can we effectively promote gender equality in the basic education? As I said before, I think that in preschool, with students of preschool age, we could include projects about this. Of course, in primary education is necessary because of the foundation, but we see that in many organizations around the world, preschool, I think, is the best solution. And how by implementing some, for example, dramatization, the integration of art is very important here because, first of all, it has a cathartic role, it liberates, and we need to, first of all, to encourage our students to express their feelings, to share their experiences, their personal experiences or the experiences from their environment, from the close environment. Storytelling and story sharing is very important, and then we could integrate arts and dramatization because dramatization, as I said before, has a very cathartic role. So again, the role of creativity goes along here with gender-based violence and mental health disorders. And this was proved actually now the COVID pandemic that we saw the children who suffer from mental health disorders, how the role of art, we saw how many artistic competitions were organized about the theme of COVID pandemic. So why it's not, it's obviously because art will help the children liberate their experiences. So I believe that through art, especially basic education, we can do that. How this STEM will impact the community in general. So STEM is a holistic approach that is related to everyday life. And it is why it is very important because it prepares young students for the future. Because STEM, it is framed in the daily life outside the classroom. It involves problem solving because when we talk about STEM, we always talk about solving authentic problems, real lifetime. Communication, the 4 C's, as we say, the 4 competencies of 21st century skills: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. And if we integrate in the acronym STEM arts, so we update the acronym STEAM. So STEAM is a interdisciplinary approach that aims to promote research spirit, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, decision making, and of course STEM. I want to clarify 2 categories of STEM. We have STEM, which is called unplugged, and that means that we don't need technology for this. We can make amazing things with simple materials, everyday materials that we can find in our home, such as cardboard or Legos or anything else. And there is another category of STEM which includes computational thinking and includes also the use of technologies such as Arduino or Raspberry, which is difficult for developing countries. And of course, even in my country, in Greece, it's difficult in public schools because there's no funding. So I'm also trying to implement STEM unplugged with everyday materials with my students. I'm going to tell you an example. Recently, I've done a workshop and I showed to my students the function of the handmade solar heater, using only cardboard, a hose, and plexiglass. So we saw the function only with these objects. It is amazing how we can do, how we can show that physics is not equations. Physics is actually a way of thinking, and it's a way of living and feeling, because everything around us is science. Science is everywhere around us. So we need to make students think about the environment around us, to formulate hypotheses, because physics, for example, or astronomy is not only types and equations F blah blah, for example. So this is my opinion. Why it is important to take gender concerns into account in program design and implementation? Because economy, we live, the economy shifts to a model that we call knowledge-intensive economy. So this has proven that women can play a major role and can improve the performance of enterprises industries. That is what research showed. And recently, I read a research that showed that women who are privileged in STEM, for example, are higher levels of performance and productivity and have higher levels of leadership, of opportunities to get leadership in industries. During the COVID pandemic, women who are specialized in STEM, they are more productive. So why we need? Because women can actually offer a lot. There are some disciplines that women consider more smart, for example, or more able than men. That's can I say about this? What teaching strategies can you recommend in the new normal way of living? So, wow, I have recently written an article, successful article that you can find in the national magazine K12. It's a free, free access. I wrote this article in April when the COVID pandemic started, and it's called Teaching in the Coronavirus Age, a neuroscientific approach. So what I'm trying to do here is to to offer a guide to educators about how to use effective strategies based on neuroscience and neuroeducation. So what we call brain-based strategies. Some of these strategies are, of course, to create positive emotions, because emotions and thoughts shape each other. Everything we learn is shaped by emotion. The role of emotion in learning is very important, because if you give to students strong emotional stimuli, knowledge is more easily learned. Something else which is very important is the increasing motivation that the previous speaker talked about. We need to create we need to make our learning pleasant, and this can happen with intrinsic motivation, because learning is inhibited by threat and challenged by motivation. It's important also to develop social skills, because social distancing is not only physical. Social distancing cannot lead to social isolation. Our brain, neuroeducation says that our brain is social. That means that it involves through other. We need interactions to evolve. So we as teachers, we can leverage all collaborative chats, collaborative platforms, and such as forum, and encourage students to do collaborative work. Another important thing is also the feedback that we can do during the pandemic. It's very important. And of course, what is most important is to find the appropriate methodology. What is the appropriate methodology in your education? There is no standard type. It is what fits best to your students, to their age, to their interest, to their rhythm. There is no standard type recipe to tell you what is the appropriate methodology. However, it is interesting to see, to search about brain-based strategies and how you can implement them in the classroom.
Okay. So I think this question, the participants say, does social capital reduce crime? So far, my concern is yes, because when you are social, you connected with each other and you share your feelings, your sorrows, your everything with each other. So I think if you are alone, then your mind will be empty. So at that, in the empty mind, you can think anything, any moment. So if you are social, you just share your feelings with your friends, with your family, with your dearest one, then I think at that time he or she will give you some suggestion, some ideas, so that your criminal mind or your crime mind will be minimized. And it is true that does social capital reduce crime? Actually, I cannot guarantee it, because if you want to become a crime mind inside you, then it is totally depends on you. Then how can you reduce him? But yes, if you are in a social, and if you think that yes, I am being a social, I want to share my sorrows, I want to share my ideas, I want to share my pain with my family, my dearest one, I think that yes, in a normal situation, your family, your friends must help you to build up your pain, to capture your pain, and they want to minimize your pain by giving you some new ideas, some new what is called some new ideas, some new way of life. They show you some new way of life. So yes, I think that social capital reduce crime. So far, I believe that. And being social, because I always prefer that don't be alone, don't be alone in your life, because if you are alone in your life, then you cannot share what's your idea, because suppose you have a nice idea inside you that this will be benefited for the society, for your family, for the world. So why you are become alone? You become social. So far, I believe that yes, social capital reducing the crime, because it's create a norms, a trust, a worthiness inside us. Thank you. Okay, very good question. That the point is here that what I think or not, that's not the meaning. What you think, that is the main thing, because the point is here the social capital, the barrier caused by different culture, tradition, norms. Yes, but at a moment of time so far, we believe that yes, it was happened, but now we are in a modern society, and we have difference mind. We have a frank mind inside us. So each of us as now in a global village. So in this global village, so far, I think that this limit will now this limit is not actually the barrier. So day by day, our children is grown up, they become social, they thinking about the norms, the tradition, the culture, and so far the most point is that must respect each your culture and your norms and your tradition. Also respect the other culture, other norms, and other tradition. Then you will become a social man or woman. So far, I think that. Thank you.
I think you all covered all the questions. Thank you, sir and ma'am, for your valuable time for us and giving you valuable time for us and your marvelous presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear knowledge seeker, I would love to thank you all from my deep heart for attending today's session. Hopefully, you learned something new and you will implement it in your life. Please leave a review and recommend on our page if you learned something and or we help you a little bit. Please spread the information with your friends. We hope to see you all again next webinar. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay safe.
Thank you so much, dear ma'am and dear sir. It's a great honor for me to actually receive you guys in this platform on based on education actually, and this is the reason. This is the reason I found the last 8 months before in pandemic. Now we are going together with education. But previously I focused on professional skill. Now we're getting these topics academic skill also. So without your helps, I can't reach much more, and without your support or without your suggestion, the participants also can achieve much more. From my opinion, that is my opinion. So that's the reason. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. If we see you again in next any other session and next in any other moment also. And special thanks to Professor Sharias, because in Bangladesh, internet connection is very poor right now, very poor, and we lost our Facebook and Messenger connection for 4 days. So it's a great help, sir, from you. And again,
It's
love
my
to
it's my pleasure also to support you, and I am also become so happy that I am supporting the institution of global professional. It's my honor also.
thank you, sir. Thank you. And I would love to thank you, our ma'am, Rania Lampo from Greece. Actually, when we are arranging a trial on last day, I saw that you are so much happy. You are so much happy to share your knowledge with participants. That's a great honor for me. I saw that person. I saw that it in last day. You are so much encourageable. That is the truth. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. And dear participants, now it's your turn for certification, and you also know that for certification system, it's also almost similar. For certificate, you have to log in www.eduigp.com. That is our website. If you are new in this platform, so you have to create an account first for lifetime. If you are already you have account, and you can log in directly, no issue about that. And when you saw the link and or program schedule, then click on the program, and after clicking, then you can see a button of enroll. So click enroll. After enrollment, at the same button, you can find the option get your certificate. So click on get your certificate. Your certificate will be downloaded automatically in your file manager or in your browser tab. So thank you so much. And you can also verify your certificate from anytime, anywhere. We all shared the option. If you want to join our team as a global volunteer, post graphic designer, and video editor, so you are most welcome. You are most welcome into our group. And our next webinar will be held on 30th March. That is mindfulness stress reduction. I think this is the best topic right now in this pandemic. So you can join with us in our next webinar, 30th March, with mindfulness stress reduction. This session will be held on 7 p.m. Bangladesh Standard Time, 9 p.m. Philippine Standard Time, 6:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 9 p.m. Malaysian Standard Time, uh, 3 p.m. in Greece, Nigeria. So there is the schedule. See you again in the next program. Our next program will be held on 30th March, mindfulness stress reduction. And if you found any problem regarding certification, so once for again, that is browse www.eduigp.com, and you can find the link also in comment section. I also pin the link in comment section, so you can check easily from the comment section, because I already pinned in comment section. So you can click the link and claim your certificate easily. Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much, dear sir and dear ma'am, for your time and for your beautiful presentation. I hope that see you again and again.